Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I have COVID. I may have given it to my mother. And Liverpool are going to win the title. I also had a job interview. Let's talk about all three of those things this week. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Procrastinating Podcast. I am your host with the most, Matthew B. Stein. Thank you so much for joining me. It is a nice spring day. It's a little minor, almost a pinch chilly. The sun is drying up the ground from the rain. It's a nice day. So this weekend, at some point within the last week, I contracted COVID-19. I also went home to my mother before I had known I had contracted COVID, or else I probably would not have gone home. But I went home and may have given it to my mom. Hopefully not. Cross your fingers. Luckily, though, my symptoms were incredibly minor, as science is a great thing. The only symptoms I really had were congestion in my nose, a headache from that congestion, and stiffness in my neck and my body. But beyond that, and some diarrhea. But beyond that, your boy was pretty much chilling, to be honest. Really minor symptoms. Science is a great thing. I went home on Wednesday, and on Thursday I started feeling a bit icky, a bit odd. I had a headache, some congestion. I just wasn't feeling too great, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And my sister gave me some Mucinex to help sort me out, solve my issues a little bit. And then later, I still wasn't feeling great, and I mentioned it to my mom, and she'd take care of me, of course, because that's what moms do. She suggested I take a COVID test, and I was like, well, what do you mean? Why? I'd be really surprised if COVID knocked me on my ass this much. Not like I was really that down bad, and in hindsight, I had probably logical symptoms for having a vaccine and a booster. But I was feeling like really under the weather, just pretty cloudy and stiff and rigid and just not in tip-top shape. And I was like, I don't think COVID would do this to me. So we took a test. It tested positive, but we did the first test wrong. So we thought, maybe that's a false positive. Took another at-home test. That one also said positive. Then I went to the health department the next day, took 2 more tests, a rapid test and a PCR test, and both of those also said positive. So that's now 4 tests saying I was positive. So you'd think after that, probably positive. So I decided to quarantine for the next couple days. Today is technically my last day of quarantine, my 5th day. It's wild how COVID went from 2 weeks, you got to be out for 2 weeks, to now it's literally 5 days that you're out for COVID. That is insane. I don't really know how that works. I imagine the transmission rate just drops crazy after the 5th day, but either way. Once I tested positive for COVID, I felt bad. Just because I didn't want to give it to my mom. That was my biggest fear, is giving it to my mom because, she's older than I am. She's an older lady. I don't want her to have any sort of serious illness or anything because of me, and I began to feel get nervous, honestly. I felt just really bad. Just not like I felt ill, but I felt like I had done her harm or something. I had wronged her in some way. I felt just really bad about it because I don't want to get my mom sick, and honestly started to go into a fit of a panic for a moment because I thought, 1, I gave my mom COVID. 2, she's older than I am. She's an old, middle-aged person. She could be more at risk to COVID than I am. And I began to worry about, oh my God, the worst could possibly happen. How did I get my mom sick? How could I have done this to my mom? Oh my gosh. And I really began to think, trying to get my feelings a little bit. I thought about even texting my siblings and saying, guys, I may have gave mom COVID. I feel really bad. I'm sorry if anything comes out of this. I feel terrible. And it kind of made me think and look at life for a moment, just about what do I value? What's important to me? And I realized family is incredibly important. My mom's incredibly important. Not like sounds like I was getting my things together, really thinking about my whole life before I was about to die. I wasn't that bad. I wasn't really that out of it. But I was just thinking about how much I really value those around me. Because I had the time to just sit and think, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going anywhere. And I'm also at a point in my life, where I'm at a turning point, starting a new chapter, so I'm already doing some thinking, so it just kind of coalesced and just made me really think about where I'm at, and I just felt ill about the fact that I infected my mom and I could potentially cause her any harm at all. I felt like a total jackass. But luckily, she has been fine. She hasn't really had any symptoms. She feels all right, you know. She's got like just like some minor cold or flu. It could really be kind of be anything. I think it's COVID, but it could kind of be anything. And I just felt bad, man. I just felt not great. Just, how could you do that to your mom, man? Luckily, my symptoms were so minor and my mom was doing all right, so nothing really came of that, and there's no real drama to that, but I just felt like a jackass for a little bit. Today, though, earlier today, I had a job interview, my first real big job interview with Paragon Marketing Group in Chicago. They do a lot of marketing. They do a lot of the high school basketball. They do the position is events coordinator. At least that's what I'm hoping to get. It went really well. I talked with this nice guy. He kind of talked to me about the company, about what they do, about how things come to be. You know, he's been there a while. I asked him like why he's been there, and it seems like a great fit. To be honest, I'm a good young, promising young lad. I'm qualified. I have good skills. I can talk to people. I'm good at these things. Yada yada yada. It feels good. I did stress about it, obviously, beforehand, and I've been thinking a lot about my future and just where I'm at, and I got really stressed out. And I did after I had my interview, my plan was to leave shortly thereafter, and I did, but in that time between my interview and before I left, I was just thinking about everything, and I started to get really sad, and my mom could tell I was just pacing around, just like fidgeting, looking through things, and at one point, I just sat on a chair in our living room, and my mom was sitting in another chair, and I was just sitting there, and I could feel the emotions welling within me, or swelling within me. I could feel them growing and just taking more of me, you know, and I ultimately had to just go lean on my mom. I just collapsed really into my mom's lap and just started crying, just weeping, just like, oh man. The past couple of weeks, I've just been, I just needed that. That's why I went home. I just needed my mom. And I got what I wanted shortly before I left. I got what I went home for. And when I got COVID and I realized I had to quarantine, I felt so bad because like I came home to see my mom, feel love and embrace before I go back to school, I graduate and get on with my life. I really just needed my mom's love and support, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it because I had COVID. I couldn't go near her, and that didn't feel good. But luckily, I was able to get her love and affection, and there's something. I mean, crying like is a good reset. You know, like it gets your emotions out of your system. It floods out of your system. I think it also floods your system with endorphins and other things. But crying in your mom's arms, it like squares that. It like pushes it up. It makes it like threefold. It changes it even more. The embrace of a mom is something that is so special. It's something that can't be replicated. I don't remember what it was, if it was something on the internet or something I heard somebody say, but I heard people say a mother's love is something you can't recreate. And that's so very true. I just needed my mom so badly for a number of reasons, and I was able to scratch that itch, and it just felt good. I just love my mom so much. I mean, I love all of my family, but I love my mom so much. She means so much to me, and the idea that I put her even remotely in harm's way, I think, is what really got to me, and why I was so emotional or worried about the fact that I had maybe have given her COVID, regardless of the fact that she was vaccinated and everything else. But the job interview went well, so that's promising. It seems like it could be a good fit. I may get the job that I want, or at least one of the positions it felt like. Hopefully, cross your fingers. I'm supposed to hear back the next couple days, so I'll have news with you for the next episode. Hopefully, big news. Cross your fingers. So it went well. It was a good weekend. Despite getting COVID, pretty good weekend. I also got to play golf. My mom just chilled me in the cart. It was a beautiful day. I got sunburned. Funny enough, I was driving the cart, so like, you know, obviously there's the roof on the cart. My right or my left arm and my left leg were much more burnt than my right arm and my right leg. It was pretty funny to me. But great weekend. I love you, Mom. Say that. I love your dad, too, but Mom, it was a great weekend. I keep going. I feel like I'm just repeating the same things, but it was a great weekend. Now, Liverpool. Liverpool Football Club. This weekend they played Everton. Everton Football Club. Their crosstown rival. The stadiums are only miles from each other. Here's a picture of how close they are. Just across the river. from Merseyside, the same city. There's an ant crawling on my phone as we speak. It's just going back and forth. I don't know what it's doing. It's kind of distracting me, but anyways. They bested their rivals after a rough first half. Everton threw them off the rhythm. Everton, this is actually a very big derby. They call them derbies, the rivalry games that they have in soccer called derbies. Not really sure why, but Liverpool came out victorious, winning 2-0. And Everton, a team who hasn't been relegated, so knocked out of the top flight, since 1950, now are in a relegation battle and may be relegated for the first time in 70 years. And it would be really cool if Liverpool were the team that kind of put that knife in their side and got them relegated. But on the other hand, I also don't really want them to get relegated, because then you lose the Merseyside derby, which is the name of the game. And that's something that's cherished, because these schools or these teams are so close together. It's like they can be like a kind of family divided kind of thing, because they're just from across the town. So depending on who you are, who you talk to, who you're around, you may support either club. It could really go either way. Like I said, they had a rough first half and they ultimately came out victorious. Divock Origi, what a man. What a man. And they're now back 1 point shy of Manchester City with only a couple games left, 5 games left in the Premier League. Still a sprint to the end. It's kind of funny, though, the two different positions the teams are in. So Liverpool, this game was huge for them. If they win, it means they're staying in the fight. They're staying right there, pushing for the title. If Everton lose, that means they're in the relegation zone era, pushing and fighting for relegation and fighting to stay in the league. One of them is fighting to win the league. One of them is fighting to stay in the league. It's kind of funny how that works out. I'm glad the team that I support is the one that's fighting to win the league. Everton suck. Suck it, Toffees. I'm glad my team won and are staying in that position, fighting for the championship. It's still going to be a dogfight to the end, as I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, but they're still sitting in a good spot, in the best spot they possibly can be. That's all I have for this episode. That's really it. I haven't done much. I had COVID. I may have given it to my mom. I love my mom very much. Oh no. And another thing I thought about, like, when I potentially gave my mom COVID, like, I thought about that if she if it went the worst possible way, who knows what could happen to my mom. That also made me think about my dog. And this makes me sad. My beloved puppa, Bella, made me think about my beloved pup. And she's getting older. She's got more gray hairs on her face, and we just hate to see her go. She's gonna go eventually, because that's the course of life, and that's just how it goes. But you don't want to see it, obviously. If this is kind of a depressing episode, I apologize if that's the case, but that's just where I'm at. I had COVID, man, like, although it may seem like I was depressed, or like the episode may have seemed a little down in the mood of it, at least I was smiling the whole time, first off, but also just know my expression, and why I'm talking about these things. First, I had COVID, so I wasn't doing anything, but my expression and how the reason I speak about these two women, my dog and my mom, it's just because I love them so much. It's just pure love. What do you want me to do? I don't have much else to say. It's going to be a weird episode to edit. It's going to be a short episode. I hope you enjoyed watching this week's episode of the Procrastinated Podcast. I have been your host, Matthew B. Stein. You've been fantastic, as always. And I'll see you in next week's episode of the Procrastinated Podcast. Episode 89 or 88 is in the books, people. See ya later.